Oh, bloody hell. Hi guys, it's me. This is not as refined as I wanted it to be. Let me bring you down with me on where I am. I have moved house, if you can't tell from the kind of echoey acoustics. And I've promised you to take you along the journey of me downsizing my studio. Now, as you know, or may not know, I custom built my studio on a shoestring budget at the farm. So for the last 4 years, I have had some wonderful neighbours in many shapes and sizes, referring mainly to cows and sheep. And the dogs, let's not forget the dogs barking. So if you haven't seen my video giving you a studio tour, then I suggest you go over and get familiar with that, because that gives you a little bit of a rundown of what I was working with. But when I filmed that, it was a relatively new space, so it was relatively clean. It wasn't that dusty. I mean, the animals made noise from day one, let's be honest. And it certainly wasn't that damp, but as the years went on, all of those things and all of those problems arose, and it got to a point where it really just was not a suitable, practical place to work in terms of damage to my fabrics, to my paper, to my patterns, and worryingly, which, you know, touch wood, hasn't damaged my sewing machine or my industrial machinery, but we were heading that way. So, first world problems. First world problems, which have now, hopefully, fingers crossed, been sorted, because I've bought my own house. So I'm officially a homeowner. This is the first home I've ever owned. And I moved in here. Today is, what does that say? Sunday 26th. Well, that's wrong. Today is Monday the 4th. Monday 4th is the current day of October. Wow, what is going on with my head? Today's date is currently Monday the 4th of October. One more time. Today's date is currently Monday the 4th of October. I moved in September 30th, so that was Thursday. I'm just picking up my camera. I'm not a vlogger, I'm not a YouTuber, I'm not anything. I don't even reach my camera with Instagram. It's just not in my personality type to think, oh God, I need to film this. So the fact that you are now listening to me ramble away to the camera is quite impressive that I remembered to do it. But I do keep my promises, and I did promise to bring you along on the journey. So what we're working with then, new space, is a little bit smaller than what we used to. Let's have a little look at where I am at with everything. So let's prop you up on there. As you can see, we're working with a much smaller space. My studio was 12 by 24 foot, I believe. And this space, this space is 3 meters by 2 or something. I'll have a little look and I'll pop it in by there, or by there. What way of the camera am I pointing? By there. So it's a lot smaller. But I'm kind of liking it because it's going to force me to really cleanse my stash. As we know as creatives, we do love to hoard. I'm about to show you my new... I did have one shelf for textiles at my old studio, so regardless of the space and how big it was, I still restricted myself to one shelf in my fabric stash to try and be a little bit more mindful. I might be in trouble because I now have a whole cupboard to store my textiles. But I'm going to take you along on the journey. You may have seen that the floor is carpeted. That's a no-go. I don't want any pins. I don't want cotton to get matted into the floor. So we're going to be pulling that up tomorrow morning, which is why I've picked my camera up, because I don't want to get started on the process and to have to catch you up. I really do want to take you along with me. So in the morning, I've got a family friend coming over who's a fantastic carpenter or floor layerer. God, how rude. What's their formal job title? Underlay? I don't know. So he's going to be coming over to rip the carpet up and lay down some, I think it's just like going to be a cheap vinyl maybe, or laminate. It's like one of those click floor ones, because I need a smooth surface. I need to be able to sweep. If I drop pins, I need to be able to pick them up with ease. I'm going to be having my dog live with me, and although I'm going to keep her out of my studio as much as possible, she is allowed free roam of the house, so I don't want any pins putting her in danger or anything like that. So that's job number one. Job number two is then going to be cutting my pattern cutting table down to size. Ooh, that's a mouthful. And so again, I have a really talented family friend, great connections going on here, who is going to very kindly do that for me as well. And we are trimming her from 2 meters by 1.20 meters. I believe she's going to be trimmed down to 1.50 meters by 120, if not 120 by 120. Now, I have lived a very luxurious life over recent years of having such a massive cutting table, but that doesn't mean I've not been trained over my career to get away with working on a smaller surface space. So even 120 by 120, just to make sure that it can fit in this space with room for me to move around it. I do a lot of filming for my membership, the DPL Atelier. I just need to make sure that I can use this space in a practical manner. Even 120 by 120 is going to be ample room. I'm just being greedy with a 2 meter table, let's be honest. And half of it ends up having my crap shoved to the end anyway, while I do work in the middle. So I hope this is going to make me more conscious on how I use my space, more mindful on how I use my space, and I'm going to have to think of a few space saving tips and organisation approaches as well. So I'm so excited to take you on the journey for that. Yeah, that's just a little chatty update, and then I'll try and film as we go along the process. I can't wait to see what it's going to look like. I'm going to insert a mood board here as well, because I've been very, very visually crystal clear on how I want each room of my house. Yeah, and guys, above all else, look at the natural light. Like, we did not have this in my cowshed atelier. We got a lot of natural light. 2 beautiful windows going on. I'm just super duper excited. That sounded really nerdy, but I am. Look at her in all her glory. And it goes up a little bit on the inside there. This fabric here is all the fabric I had on my shelf and then some. We've got a bolt of jersey that was under my table. We've got a box full of scraps that was under my table. We have some YKK zips that I need to send out to a prize winner of the 3-day design challenge. Look at this, I can't believe that they're getting all of these zips, a whole 2 bags full of dead stock zips. Amazing, amazing prize sponsor for September. So yeah, that's my 1 shelf of fabric that I limited myself to, plus some. Let me give you a little run around of what I want to do with this room. As you can see here, I've already kind of got my desk set up. That's going to have to come out by the morning so that Jamie can crack on with my floor. But I'm loving the fact that I'm going to be able to have a designated creative space. So create, fashion design. I'm going to be able to sit here. I'm going to be putting this cork. It's a roll of cork. It's quite thick. I'm going to end up putting this up on the wall above my desk here. And I'm going to frame it with some panels of wood and have a shelf on top. I'm only in a little 2-bed house, so the storage is a really, really important thing for me. I'm going to try and utilise as much of the wall space as possible in every single room. So hopefully we're going to be keeping a nice wide bit of cork up there, and I can pin all of my designs onto it. As you walk through the room, ow, the door handle just jabbed me in the back. As you open the door and come into the room, in this space here between my 2 windows, I think I'm going to have my sewing machine with my pegboard above it with all my scissors and sewing notions on. It fits perfectly in the space from what I've done on my design software, doing all my measurements and plugging it in. Oh, we're going a little bit blurry. So I'm really excited to see how that layout happens. Also, guys, look at how cute she is. My new little pencil holder, I love her. I think she looks so sweet. I'm loving this. And then as we pan around, I've got my tripod set up here because I'm about to film something for my designer diagnosis. It would help if I could say it, which is my weekly Q&A for my members in the DPL Atelier, which is why you see Mary, of course, she would come with me as a priority, set up here. We're going to be answering one of my members' questions, but in this corner behind Mary, I'm going to make a little bit of a feature wall with some wood so that it's a nice backdrop for my filming, and then of course my cutting table is going to take up the majority of that floor space there. So, a really quick rundown. I'm going to also have to put a mirror somewhere in the vicinity so that I can do fittings and check designs and everything. And another thing I need to think of where to put something is my pattern blocks, my big rail of pattern blocks. I'm not quite sure where to put them in this room. I don't know whether to pop a rail up there and have them hanging in the cupboard, because then that also limits me to not fill this entire space with more fabrics. So let me know your thoughts in the comments, some space saving ideas. I want to keep everything contained to this room because I've been self-employed since day dot, really. And I'm a firm believer in separating work and home, and so to segregate everything. I was originally going to have my desk downstairs in my living room, and I just thought, why am I trying to mix the two things? I want my living room to be a space where I can disconnect and switch off. So I'm a big believer in keeping my work contained to one amazing, creative, energetic space. And so I'm gonna have to use my problem solver designer skills, I think, to place some of my items. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below any suggestions, what you would do with the space. Some of you are gonna hate me, but I'm not actually gonna paint this room. I'm gonna leave every wall in my house white. And I'm just gonna introduce pops of color through things like my chair. You should see my sofa, and wall art and all of that. So don't come for me, the walls are staying white, okay?
Currently 6 something in the morning. I don't yet have blinds, so whether or not I army crawl around for privacy is another question. But carpenter, floor layer, whatever his job title is, is coming in 2 hours. So I just need to tidy out the small last remaining things from this space. He's gonna have to help me lift the desk because I'm too weak for that. Yeah. And then we'll get cracking with the new floor. I cannot wait to see what it looks like.
And we're done. Oh Jesus. Wow, someone just woke up. This is not, what happened to my natural daylight? This is not flattering whatsoever. I mean, I'm used to waking up at 5 because of obviously dating a farmer life. But moving house has really shot my sleeping pattern to pieces. Anyway, this is what we're working with now. All ready to go. And this, I somehow have to get into a tiny little 5-door. if I flick my hair, I look less like an egg. So, you know, disclaimer, it is there somewhere. I just look horrendous. I don't know if I'm gonna be filming Jamie doing the floor, because again, not a vlogger, not a YouTuber, feel really bloody awkward. Also a bit invasive. I don't want to, like, I hate it when people film me or take photos of me. Even when they ask. My hairdressers do it all the time. They say, we need to take a photo of your hair. And you think like, oh, please don't. So I don't know if I'll film him, but yeah, I'll definitely catch you up on the process once it's done. So if I'm gonna persuade anyone to be on camera, I mean, I should probably look a little bit more presentable myself. So, long day ahead again, moving house. Why does no one warn you of this stuff? Yes. What a difference a bit of concealer makes. Standard my luck. I'm gonna get very echoey now. We started, but then some of the planks or boards or whatever delivered faulty and damaged, so they couldn't finish it. But look how annoying this is. Not of the amazing people doing my floor, I just mean of the people who sent them the boards damaged. Look how annoying this is. We're so close. We're so close to finishing the room, but they couldn't finish it. What should have been a quick job, you know? But yes, this is what we're looking like. Believe it or not, I did used to take tap as a kid. Not properly. I think I quit after they told me I had to be a sailor. Yeah, enough of that. I evidently can't do that anymore. Probably couldn't do it then either. Wow, I look really red. May have done a bit of overkill with the blusher on that one. I was closing the window because I felt awkward talking in case anyone's outside. My floor's done. My floor is done. Look at it. Cannot wait to get my desk back in here. I'm out of breath because I've just run up the stairs. I'm gonna give it a hoover now because wow, this place is dusty. And then I'm gonna move in my desk. And then all I have to do is get my pattern cutting table trimmed down to size, custom built, move in my industrial sewing machine, set up some shelves, sort my filming backdrop out, and yeah, I'm good to work. Just those tiny little things that I need to do. But first, I gotta hoover. Oh, I'm so excited. This has literally been the room I've been looking forward to the most. Oh, I love it already and it's empty. Let's do this. So, she delivered yesterday, and now Dad and I are trying to measure my little cork wall. So if I pop you down here.
Lisa?
Once it's like piled up, well not piled up, but you know,
Yeah.
stuff's on it.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's good.
thank you! I love it.
Yeah,
It's all coming together. So yesterday, Bobbleish, Bob Wall, the one and only Silver Fox, the OG, my dad helped, such a lie. You saw the footage. Put this up for me, put up my corkboard and shelf. I cannot wait to get all my little fabric samples pinned on there, all of my design work, all of my client work that I'll be working on, and then of course we've maximised the space on the wall for extra storage. I'm so pleased with it. I also think, as I don't tend to paint my studios a colour, I like white walls, and I know this triggers some people. I've had a few comments before, especially in a creative space. But because I work on such a spectrum of design projects and collections and brands and businesses, a blank canvas, i.e. white walls, actually helps me focus in on each project. So although I don't paint my studios a colour, I do think the corkboard has kind of introduced a little bit of warmth, a little bit of colour with my statement orange chair. Sounds like I'm clutching at freaking straws, but I actually love how this looks on my wall, and I cannot wait to start working in here. So the plan today is I'm popping out for lunch with a really good friend of mine who, well, she's more like family, a university friend who is doing the most wholesome thing and doing a little road trip with her mum, and she's passing through Cardiff. I literally am in love with that idea. I'll be meeting them for lunch, and then we're going to head on over to the farm studio, pick up my pattern blocks, pick up a few extra things, and my pattern cutting table will then need to be trimmed down. So my pattern cutting blocks are the biggest thing I'm scratching my head on where to put them in this space, but I'm sure I'll figure it out. So yeah, slowly and surely this little studio is coming together. So, current situation. They're there, that's there, and I gotta put everything back together. My pattern hooks are rusty. Everything has been in a glamorized cowshed for the last 4 years. So pattern hooks are rusty. I wiped off as much of the cobwebs as I could from the pattern rail or block rail or whatever. And now I'm just gonna put it all back together, give it another wipe down, and temporarily see where to put it in the studio space. So yeah, let's do this. Hello. Can't believe I'm showing my face publicly when I look and feel like this. I have been whacked in the face by a sinus infection crafted by the devil himself. Just as everything was starting to settle down and get organised. Yeah. Oh, I've crashed big time. Current state of the studio then. Whoa. Actually quite an accurate representation of what's going on inside my head. So at least we're in sync, there is that. But now what I gotta do is start putting stuff into this cupboard. We now have shelves, so that's good. And as you can see, I can't actually bloody function in this space right now. So yeah, I'm just gonna try and push myself to do that today. I've literally been a bit bedbound, apart from walking my dog. Dogs are good for the soul, aren't they? Like, they just get you up and out and stop being a baby. But now I've regressed to being a baby. So yeah, anyway, without further ado, let's crack on with this, shall we? Good morning. I have a tiny bit of like concealer on my face to feel human again, because I have been, you might hear me quite nasally, I have been so run down the last 2-3 days. But we're up early because I have my family friend and carpenter coming to the farm to disassemble my cutting table, cut it down to size, and then we're going to be putting it up
here, and that is the last official component of the studio. But let me just show you what I've been up to. So we moved everything out of the farm space. I literally could not get in here the other day. Like, the floor was absolutely covered. So we've got these white boxes you might recognise, which were stored in the table. I've gone through these, and there are 2 boxes full to the brim of archive patterns that I'm willing to get rid of and cleanse. I actually think this is a really good positive to take from the moving process, is you can just kind of go through everything with a fine-tooth comb and really get it down to the bare basics. Speaking of bare basics, Bare Essentials bras, really good book. So yeah, I've got books that I need to kind of store, but I think I might put these in a giant bookcase in my living room. Stuff has been going up here. I love this little nook of my studio and how it's coming together. We've got a few designs here, written plans up there, mini kind of illustration sketches. But once I'm working on client work, I'll be having collections up here, fabric swatches and samples, long bolts to the corner that don't fit in my shelving unit or under my new table, as it's going to be cut down from 2 meters to about 130, I think. So all these textiles here are temporary. They will end up going in my table. I really want to have my textiles on show so that my fabric stash doesn't grow and grow and grow. It's nice to know what you've got in your, what's it called? Something cabinet? Oh, I don't know. It's nice to know what you've kind of got to hand for projects. That I find if my fabric stash is on show, then I tend to like work through it more or grab a textile quicker. So this is all going to move. Behind there I've got my overlocker and domestic sewing machine and a few sewing supplies. Up here then I've got my arch leather files with all sorts in boring admin stuff, accounts, blah blah blah. But I've also got my fashion file packs in there as well. This is a prize from the latest 3-day design challenge, which was terribly timed because we did the September 3-day design challenge and then I moved house and then I've been struck down with illness. And at the top we've got some like flatter bolts of fabric that can just fit on this slimmer shelf, and some archive garments. And what I tend to do with these is I what's the word? My brain isn't working. I unpick them. I'll unpick them and I'll take down the pattern if there is something about the garment that I like. So there's a bag full of a few garments there that I need to do that with. So this is how it's looking. It's still a little rough around the edges. I do definitely need to tie her up. We got a little tripod there for me filming. My pegboard is up, which I'm super happy about. Another thing I love about my studio is I can now have real plants in here. Because the last studio had no natural daylight, whereas I now have 2 gorgeous big windows. Anyway, so yes, that's the plan of action today, and I best make a move, otherwise I might be late and he'll be at the farm and I won't be there. So yes, I will try and record again, but you know, I'm awkward on camera, so I don't know why other people wouldn't feel the same, and I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable. But yeah, catch me on the flip side and we'll have a little table in this space.
Hi, hello, and a big oops from me. We are December, I think Christmas Eve is Friday and it's Wednesday, so what's that, 22nd? We're December the 22nd. I've nearly been here for 3 months. So many learning curves. I've also edited this video and realised I didn't do an outro. I realised that like the pace really picked up halfway through and like the video actually got interesting rather than me ramble. But I'm gonna leave me rambling in because even though like I'm not a YouTuber, I'm not a blogger, blah blah blah, I think it's gonna be really lovely for me to look back on in the future and just reminisce about this life chapter that has happened, because it's a big deal. Anyway, learning curves involved thinking I could get everything done in the space of 2 weeks, and actually my studio still isn't finished or where I want it to be. Sorry, my arm is hurting. Good God, someone needs to work out. But it's definitely a functional space. It's been able to welcome me back to work. Been a really odd end to my year, to be honest. In terms of work, in terms of pace, in terms of trying to pick things back up. When you're self-employed, or at least my experience, there were so many hurdles and ups and downs with buying this house. And I was meant to complete May 28th. I didn't move in until September 30th. And every single month, I do not know how a building developer can do this, because surely you have the experience to know that a property isn't going to be ready in like a 2-week window. But anyway, every single month they kept telling me, you'll be moving in next month, next month, next month. And it never came around. And because I'm self-employed, I kept winding my business down and up and down and up, because they just kept messing me around. Now, it's completely naive of me. I've never moved house before. I've never bought a house before. I have moved house, but I've never bought a house before. I've never gone through that process. So every single time the sales advisors told me something, I mean, more fool me, I just believed them. And so the second half of my year after moving in, I've actually found it quite difficult to wind my business back up after constantly winding it down, because obviously I knew I wouldn't be able to juggle all of my clients and moving house, not having a studio to work in. So it's a really weird end to the year. And then of course COVID, so that's had an effect. And yeah, so it's all a bit peculiar. It's been a fair few years since I've been this quiet, but it's starting again. I am starting to build it up, and what this has actually given me is a really exciting piece of time, or chapter, or window of time frame, to work on something in the DPL atelier. Now, I am so excited. You are going to be watching this in the new year, new studio, new framework in the DPL atelier. So while I've been twiddling my thumbs with my business at Sandra Jane Design winding down, I've actually been working really hard behind the scenes to be building a new framework in the DPL atelier. And starting from this month, starting from January, we are going to be rolling out a new framework over a 3-month time frame, where me and my creative community, and that could be you as well if you want to come and join the affordable membership, are going to be creating, pattern cutting and constructing across my signature Create, Cut, Construct framework. So we're going to be designing, pattern cutting and constructing, sewing up a finished garment. Every single 3-month cycle, we're going to focus on a new garment style. So at the moment, at this very time when you are watching this, we are actually working on designing our very own shirt design. Now, a shirt is a really, really good garment to get started with, because it has so many transitional design details. You have button plackets, you've got collars, you've got cuffs. And so I am sharing the journey. I'm getting really excited because I'm filming this obviously 22nd of December. So by the time this goes out, we're going to be in full swing in the DPL atelier enjoying this new framework. So me and my creative community are going to be designing, pattern cutting and creating our own shirt ideas. And why I'm so excited about this is because I know I sell PDF sewing patterns, but they're my own designs. And so who better to design for you in your wardrobe than you? So I'm just very, very excited to be sharing that experience with anybody who wants to join me over in the DPL atelier. My arm is getting so tired holding this camera. Oh God, I'm not a natural. So I'm going to close off this video. My studio isn't how I want it. It's not completely finished, and I will show you why, and I'll give you a quick tour and a quick walk. But it's just been a really magical, grateful time of year for me because of, number one, I've got my own house. Number two, even though I've downsized this space, I'm actually really, really bloody proud of what we've achieved in here with the help of my amazing dad, my amazing boyfriend. You've seen Farmer Ben in this video. And friends and family and people who've actually supported me when I have wound my business down, and I've probably oversharing here, but I've been like, oh God, I have a new house, I've wound my business down, was this the right choice? And including my creative community, I've actually had an incredible amount of support. So It's all about grinning and bearing it. It's all about getting through it. Self-employed life is not easy. Self-employed life in a creative career. Oh, yeah, I'm crazy. I'm mad. What am I doing with my life? But another thing, before I jump into the final little tour, I will be doing another video once I've finalised this space. So I have a wall feature I've mentioned that still needs to go up. My corkboard over here is loose along the bottom edge, which is actually a little bit annoying. So we just need to fix that down so that when I'm pulling pins out, it doesn't come away from the wall. But other than that, oh, and I've taken the lampshade light fitting away because I didn't like the shade it was creating. So I need to fix my lighting as well. I think I actually might bring the LED sunlight strip lights from my old studio here because they gave really, really good quality light, which at the time I wasn't grateful for. There's a lesson for you. Oh, I'm gonna have to rest my arms on the table. Jeez, it's only a little camera. So yes. Really happy with it, happy with my table. We've really cut it down and I'm glad we did because I do think any bigger, this table would not function in this space. And then finally, let's turn you around. I've already got so many designs up on the wall. I believe that you can see all of these. I don't have any client work on there. These are all just my designs, so there's a massive sneak peek. To the left then, me and my accountability partner have weekly focus sessions. She owns the business Eliza UK, which is a sustainable luxury accessory line that supports various charities. Go and check her out. She's been an amazing prize sponsor for the 3-day design challenge in the past. And every year we pick a word. So 2022, again, I'm filming this December, not January, but my 2022 word is going to be focus. And we did just get this word every single year. So I've had visibility when I started doing all of my live streams. I've got consistency, trying to show up for my creative community and just giving you all the valuable content. And then I've got focus. And I've got them here by my little desk area, just to give me a little reminder, but I do adore this area of my studio. You can see I've got my bolts of fabric and pattern paper here. It's so nice that I can actually stand them on the floor. Obviously couldn't do that in the old studio. We've got the blinds up. Ben said that with the straps they look like a jail cell. I'm not sure I take to that kindly, but I actually just think the colour of them with my corkboard. I've got a very kind of clear aesthetic going around my entire house. And then I've got my pride and joy right bang smack in the middle, plenty of natural light flooding my sewing machine table. I've got a little t-shirt there that I need to fix a hole in. There is actually a free video on that somewhere on the YouTube channel of mine. I've got a real plant, guys. Okay, it's looking a little bit droopy, but I can keep real plants in here and try to keep them alive. I love that about this space. This is a selfish sewing project. It's actually a jumpsuit that I'm currently working on. This is literally the first toile, so lots of amendments to be made. I'm going to be making it in this viscose twill. Very excited. Actually, let me connect the dots. So I've got this. It's an asymmetrical jumpsuit with a really wide leg and a split trouser leg. If I spin round here, that's actually the vision. So yeah, I might do a separate video on the process of that. Let me know if you want to see it. So much recording. Oh, and then I've got this corner. This corner is a really blank corner. My big old cutting table. We cut this down from 2 meters by 1.50 meters to No, it wasn't. It was 2 meters by 1.20 meters, and now I think it is 120 by 130. These are Kallax units from IKEA. We've got 3 of them with 4 squares in each. 2 of them butt side to side, if that makes sense. And then this one on the end is turned like so. And I've got all sorts under there. I've got all my nice fabrics. I'm going to be doing a kind of what's in my fabric stash video soon. I've got all my notions, patterns. I had an absolute cleanse of the patterns, as you would have seen earlier in the video. At least when we're turning this way, there's always points of interest. It's always visually delicious, in my opinion. And then you spin round to that corner where a lot of natural light hits, which is great for filming, and it's pretty blank. This, speaking of the DPL Atelier, is a shirt design, except it's quite versatile because I've turned it into a jacket, and I actually recently did a photo shoot and I looked very Country Life magazine in it. So if you want to know how to design, draft, make, wear your own design, come and join us in the DPL Atelier. But that's it, my friends. That's about as far as I got. This is already a long video because I've started editing it already. So if you've made it this far, bloody well done. Hats off to you. But I'm really looking forward to what this means for the new chapter in my life, for the new chapter in our life. I feel like my creativity has foundations now. I feel like my feet are rooted a bit more. The Cowshed Atelier, the studio, was never a permanent space. We built it with 350 quid. We never did the flooring properly. The ventilation in the room wasn't that great. There were problems in the summer. There were problems in the winter. My fabric and my sewing machine, if we were there for any longer, I don't think would have survived. But you just make do with what you serve, don't you? And I was so incredibly grateful to be given such a generous amount of space. My boyfriend and his family have supported me endlessly. And I think sometimes when you're creative and when you earn money from a creative living, for those that aren't creative or those that haven't experienced it, sometimes it's an uphill battle trying to prove that your job is a job. Or like, I'll tell someone I'm a fashion designer and they're like, oh, lovely, as though I draw stick men for a living. And it's a lot more than that. So again, maybe if you want a day in the life video, if you actually want to see what my job involves, then comment down below and I'd happily cater to that as well. I just feel more grounded and more rooted already. My productivity levels have skyrocketed because of before I had my Cowshed Atelier. Oh, that's so bad. I'm like really demoting it now in how I'm naming it. Before I had my studio at the farm, I had a studio in a church, which you don't need to see my dirty landing. I had a studio in a church, which was a tiny space, probably the same length as this, but narrower, a lot narrower. And I had a really long, skinny pattern cutting table in there. And obviously paid rent on that space. This was all the way back in 2016. And then I moved out of there to the studio in 2018. And now I've moved here, which is my third private studio space. But if I was inspired at 9 p.m, which often happens, if an idea comes into your head, I either had to drive when I was at the church studio 40 minutes, or at the farm, especially in the winter, I'd have to go out in the freezing cold, put on a gas heater that like literally, I swear it was leaking, used to give me a headache. And it just, this environment just feels like the first environment since I've left the fashion industry that helps me find my roots. And I feel like that is now going to reflect in the Digital Pattern Library universe, in my Zandra Jane Design universe. And I'm already very proud of my achievements. I mean, your girl did just win Fashion Designer of the Year in the Wales Prestige Awards. And I've been invited at the UK's largest fashion and textiles trade show to deliver a keynote talk, and I don't know, I've achieved a lot. And when I look back at what I'm working with, imposter syndrome always creeps up. Whereas now I already feel like this is just the beginning of a very exciting new chapter, and more than anything, building my creative community in 2021, which is when I launched the membership, Digital Pattern Library. The DPL Atelier wasn't a thing before then. I have shared this journey with so many of you, and so many of you are members, and you've been with me since day one. And I'm very, very excited for what this now means for our journey together moving forward. I feel like the quality of my tutorials is about to improve. There's not going to be cows mooing in the background, yay! And I'm just excited, as you can tell. So, thank you for getting to the end of this video. Thank you for joining me on the journey so far. If you want to continue that creative journey, come on over and see what we're doing in the DPL Atelier, because trust me, it's weekly tutorials. It's the new Create, Cut, Construct framework. You have all of the PDF sewing patterns that I have to offer. You've got all the fashion file packs that I have to offer. You can tap into my knowledge, you can ask me anything, and you just have direct access to me and a very warm, welcoming online community, which is a safe space to express yourself through the medium of clothes. And how grateful I feel that I've been able to share this with you, and I can continue to share this with you. And yeah, keep your eyes peeled for some more videos, because now your girl's unstoppable. But thank you for joining the journey. Thank you for the last few years following along, and here's to the next few. I can't imagine, and I cannot wait to see what we all create together. So exciting. I will catch you on the flip side. Gratitude.